Buddy. Hello. Nice. Good to see you all. Oh, is this a webinar? Dang it. Oh, good. I can hear some of you. Nice. Good to see you all. Oh, that's me. Okay, hold on. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, hold on. Let me let y'all in. That's not gonna work. I think, Eric, I'm gonna have to make you a co-host so you can.
Share screen.
Yes, I think I haven't done that, but you are now. So test it out, see if it works.
Okay. And there I am.
Hello.
Got my mushroom shirt on for this fantastic event.
Nice. Nope, nope.
Who's that?
That is Delilah. She's my girl. I have 3 cats, and this is mine.
Well, I'm already connected to her, seeing as I'm Eric Delisle.
Oh, nice.
So close.
Hopefully, she won't walk all over my desk. She was sitting nice and calm for like before this. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let you stay, but no.
Yeah, I sent you a message. A few people, we've been sending out some invite links to people for iHeart AI, particularly 3 team members that
Awesome.
are not approved.
Oh,
I don't think they can get in.
yes, because I specifically must approve everyone. No, it looks like oh, maybe not. No, it looks like everyone has been approved.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't know when that happened, but recently.
No worries.
They are in. Tell them they have to do onboarding. Oh, yeah, there you are. Hi. I was just looking at your name.
That Dominique is that's my wife.
Yay. Excited you're here. Hope you enjoy it. What? I'm a design thinker and yogi. Hello, Alonzo. Welcome. Yes, happy 4th of July. Oh, wait, no. It's day after Thanksgiving. Box Day? No, that's Christmas. I think it's Black Friday. That's why we're here. Welcome, everyone. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes. We like to give people a chance to come on in and head over. I will make an announcement on LinkedIn, make sure everyone is here. Yes, hello. Awesome. Oh my gosh, Delilah. Right
Who wants to participate?
now. 100. It was like you said hackathon. You said fingers on keyboard. Very confused. All right, you all do have the ability to talk. I'll just request that you kind of be mindful of that. If I hear random outside noise, I'll just mute everyone again. But as of right now, you are all, almost all of you. And Neil, welcome. And Gabrielle and Sanjeev. Oh, good to see you all. Thank you for being here. Amazing. All right.
Hello.
Hello. So we do it in this format so that we can capture Q&A. So obviously, if anything comes up and you want to ask questions, it's great if you can write them in the Q&A so I don't miss them, or you raise your hand. Sometimes I don't see it, so it's a great alert to me. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. I'm glad you all are enjoying my cat. It is Friday, so I just letting Delilah do her thing. We have another ginger cat named Ed Sheeran, and he's just like Ed Sheeran. He's very aloof, doesn't make much eye contact. Let's see here. Oh, good. Yes, I think, Gabrielle, I think you're gonna love this. It's gonna be so fun. Amazing. Jessica's here. Cool. All right, awesome. Amazing. Thank you, Sanjeev. All right. Awesome. So if I mute you all at some point because there's background noise, that is not an indication that you cannot unmute yourself. It just means I couldn't tell. I don't go and look. I just mute everyone to try not to avoid anyone getting accidentally embarrassed. But that doesn't count for you, Eric. So you're just don't do anything embarrassing.
Try not to.
I'm not watching your tab. So, Awesome. Welcome everyone. Oh, cool. Yes. And please feel free. Yeah, this is a great opportunity to connect with each other. So I'll go ahead and open us up. We're at 4:05. So welcome. We are here. It's a kind of a new opportunity, something that I hope we repeat multiple times. I think we'd love to do a hackathon kind of at the end of every month. It's a great way to ring in a new month with some new fun opportunities. We actually organically came up with this idea, spur of the moment, just like 2 weeks ago, and was like, hey, why don't we just let everybody play around with this? And so I encouraged everyone, it's Black Friday, you could spend your time shopping or improving your skills. I heard actually earlier today, I was writing an article for a leadership post, and uh, I wrote down, I always write things down. I'm like, oh, that's good. And I wrote down something that I must have heard somewhere, but I can't remember where, but about generational wealth. And I think a lot about generational wealth because I kind of broke the wealth situation in my family. And I was the first to go to college. I was the first to make over six figures. I was the first to make 1 million. Like, so I broke a bunch of these like perceptions in my family. But one of the things that is a misconception that I often have is that generational wealth is, it's kind of like it's things, it's material. It's like this hand down of stuff that I'd somehow hand an estate down to my family or my kids. And what I've realized recently, as I've attained more material wealth, is that the most valuable thing I can give to my kids to generate generational wealth is really skills and information and the ability and education, right? Because that's literally like the haves and the have-nots. The digital divide is all about access to information and education. So that's why this community exists. It's why I think a lot of people have been so positively impacted, is that I'm trying to just make it easy for people to find products, use products, learn AI, learn their space in a world of AI. I mean, people who never thought they'd ever start a company after 20 years of expertise in an area, thinking they'd retire from a company, are now thinking differently because of the world of AI. And hopefully, as a result of this amazing, diverse group of people we have here. Hi, Lucy. Welcome. Yeah, so I'm a big believer in this idea that education, it literally changes lives. And when you say education, people maybe think a different thing, but at the end of the day, when you do what we're about to do today, which is put our fingers on a keyboard and learn to do something you've never done before, which I'd be surprised if any of you have done anything like we're about to experience. I mean, I've done a lot and I've never been able to practically do what this product does. So I'm excited for all of you to be able to play around with it. I figured what we do is start off by giving Eric a chance. And if you don't mind, Eric, just taking a few minutes to describe, because there's people here who didn't see you the first time you came or first time you spoke. So introducing kind of where you came from and your experience, and then also like the evolution of the company, and then most importantly, the evolution of the product. And then you could dive in and demo whatever you'd like, and we'll get on our way there. Before I have you do that, though, I will ask all of you, I thought we put up a registration page, but it looks like you all just came in direct via link. So we must have put the link somewhere. So if you wouldn't mind, just direct message me your email while Eric gets started. That would be amazing. And Eric, if you're okay with it, I will just be building a workspace that I'm inviting people to start. Actually, my workspace, the one that yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be perfect. Okay, so I'll invite people to that, and then that way people will be able to see it. And as you go into a demo or something, you can use that to get started.
Okay.
And hand off back to me whenever you want.
You got it. Awesome.
All right.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Noelle. This is really fun. For anybody out there that is starting their entrepreneurial journey, I'm kind of an old hat at this. So my background kind of goes like this. From a pretty young age, I just got the entrepreneurial bug. So I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years. Most of the ventures that I've done have been in tech. And I don't want to date myself, but I'm going to. I think one of the first major tech projects I did was put some virtual reality systems in MGM Studios at Disney World in Orlando, Florida in 1993. So that's a little while ago. And having always kind of been a visionary of what's coming, I'm just a huge futurist and love those kinds of things. I always am attracted to kind of the next thing that's coming. And of course, although I started working with synthetic intelligence and AI in 1997, 1998, the whole world changed just 2 years ago, as you all know, and it's exciting, really, to see this whole community. I love AI and the work that Noelle's doing. Of course, she's got a great background in this stuff. So what we're going to go over today is my latest venture. Um, I actually started this company, Bloomstack, in 2018, but it was started for a completely different thing. We were building a ERP system for the legal cannabis industry. So we did this big platform that did track and trace and did accounting and ran their websites and did all of this stuff. And then when COVID happened, a bunch of things happened. I won't bore you with the journey of a entrepreneur that has to make tough decisions, but I had to make a decision to either stay ahead of the curve of building software and systems, or keep building kind of legacy stuff. So we made a huge shift and did a giant pivot about 2.5 years ago. And that led to what you're going to get a sneak peek of today. I want to be clear to set expectations, and I'm praying that the demo gods are with us today. Everybody that's here, and I think we have 22 participants right now, you're the first 22 people outside of my company and outside of a small group of people that saw me do a podcast where I demoed this for the first time. You're going to be the first 22 people that actually get to see this out in the wild and get your hands on it. So hopefully you're excited about trying out new things, and we'll jump into what you're going to see. So this platform, and I'll tell you briefly how we got to this point so you understand the premise behind this. When we had been building this cannabis software platform, we had a lot of technical debt that built up over some time in building the platform, and we were looking for ways of building code faster without really detailed full stack code faster without the use of senior developers. So we started building a no code platform called Greenhouse at Bloomstack. And about 2 years ago, when ChatGPT 3 came out and we were messing around with it, we got the idea that, man, this platform that we created, which we were building so that our junior developers could deploy advanced code, might be able to be used by these new LLMs to build full stack applications. So that's about 2 years ago that changed our direction. We started focusing on that. So we call it an AI programmable application framework. Now, for those of you that are familiar, there's other projects out there like Cursor and some other great things, Devin, whatnot, that where they're trying to build agents that can code for you. Excuse me, but there's still a lot of limitations and there's a lot of frustration where they're just given carte blanche to write code and iterate, primarily because the LLMs to this point still don't have a great capacity for considering a really big full stack application and what's necessary to deploy it. So anyway, that led us to this. About a year ago, the framework was sufficiently good that we were like, well, we have to build an application on our new application framework. And that became AI Mystic, which is what you're all going to get to play with today. So one of the first ideas around AI Mystic was everybody that started working with these LLMs and these chatbots, very quickly people discovered that the better the prompt that you put in, the better the output that you got. But a lot of people, and you still see it to this day, they don't want to become prompt engineers. They just want the thing to work. And so we had this idea, well, wouldn't the LLMs be better at writing the prompts for the LLMs? And so we built this first application, and that's what started it. So from day one, we built a multi-agent application. So we built an application where we wanted to have different models embodied as an agent. And Noelle's going to talk to you guys about agents in just a second, go through our agent form. Um, but we wanted these LLMs to be embodied with other tools that they didn't have naturally. Because, for example, you have the ability for generating an image with, say, DALL-E, and ChatGPT couldn't create an image. So we just immediately put them together, in a room, and we said, well, ChatGPT, you prompt DALL-E to create the images, and back and forth. Next thing you know, we had tools, and we started expanding, and all these things that you're going to see today. So AI Mystic is primarily a relatively open use case platform for building workspaces where you can put multiple agents and multiple human users. And we have a bunch of tools to help you manage that process, which is what you're going to see today. So the big challenge that everybody's going to have today is to create your own workspace, create your own agents, and do something useful that you want to do. We could brainstorm use cases, or we're going to talk about a couple of use cases, but pretty much this is going to be open-ended. We only have an hour and 45 minutes left in this webinar, at least. But what I'm going to do is a little bit of a Black Friday thank you for everybody, is we're going to extend your ability to use this platform all the way through basically the end of the day tomorrow. Why I'm not just giving it to everybody carte blanche forever is because every token that we're going to play with today, I'm paying for. So all the models, all the tokens, they come out of my bank account, and I don't have $1 billion in generational wealth yet, like Noel does. So we're gonna play the bootstrap scrappy startup game. So with that being said, let me start by showing everybody this interface. And right after I give you a brief summary, we're going to let people start going and signing up. Share screen. Okay, and share.
Yay.
Okay, can I get a
I was like
confirmation?
holding my breath.
This? Can everybody see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. All right, let me move my Zoom controls out of the way. And okay, here we go. Let's talk about AI Mystic. So this is the home page. When you load AI Mystic, actually, let me get rid of all these things. When you load AI Mystic, this is what you're going to see. You're just going to see basically our change log for the 141 versions we've done of this. Reminder: this is alpha software. This is the first time that so many people have ever tried to use this at the same time. And if the demo gods are not with us, we may crash our servers. We don't know. We haven't done stress testing yet. We're still getting this ready for production deployment. But the basics are this. Everything is done within a workspace. So this left-hand tab that you see is the workspace tab. And here, as you scroll over, you can kind of see what these workspaces are. When you guys open yours, you're going to probably see it's going to be I think it starts in white mode, or I don't know, maybe it follows your computer. But once you have a number of workspaces, you can click this and you can kind of get a fuller view if you want to read what's in there. A workspace is made up of so I'll show you the one I'm going to share with everybody today. This is a new agent testing space that I created just today. When you click on it, you're going to get a new tab over here. And here you can see the conversation that's happened in this room up until this point. I'm scrolling here to the top. Okay. So this is what a workspace looks like. And in here we can type messages kind of like you would chat with anything. There's also a couple other things. We're not going to be using this today, but there is an assets folder that's assigned to every workspace. We just don't have time to do testing with it and stuff today. And there's some controls, cloning a workspace, editing a workspace, inviting others to the workspace, deleting and leaving. The controls for the workspace are on the right-hand side in this little gear. You'll notice that this menu goes away if you're in a tab that doesn't need the menu. So we try to keep a very minimalist interface, user interface. Over here, we have the settings, you have the title. So when you guys go to create your first workspace, you're going to click this blue button. It's going to open up this simple dialog, and you create, my first workspace. We have set it up so that everybody that joins today is going to get a default workspace. Learn something about AI agents. And that's a scenario. Whatever scenario, this is a very important form field. Whatever scenario, thank you. Whatever scenario that you put in this form field, all of the agents that you put into the room are going to be able to read that. They're going to be able to understand that that's what this workspace is for. So if you say it's about learning something about AI agents, they'll be focused on that. You can get them to do pretty much anything else, but that's going to be their primary focus, and they're going to keep trying to come back to it. If you said, I want to create, create an AI agent curriculum, then they're going to stay focused on that. So I'll just save this. Once I save it, I get a blank workspace, and there's no agents in here. There's nothing in here. If I want to change any settings about the workspace, in this panel, you have the title that we just created, the description. You can change this, by the way. You can change the scenario and resave it. Don't forget to save. If you scroll over our tooltips, we have helpful tooltips in most of these areas. This setting is pretty important, the maximum agent replies. Now, it does allow you to put it to 100, but I'm going to ask everybody to just kind of please be aware that it is very possible to put agents in this workspace and they will just go. And when they go, remember, they're eating those tokens that I'm paying for. So unless it's super necessary, I request that you kind of keep this moderate, your testing. But the idea here is that we want to be able to have these controls that the human can kind of put guardrails around what you expect. But if you have a workspace that's doing the thing correctly, the way you want it doing it, you want it to become more and more autonomous, the more you trust it. So the more you trust the agents, the more you don't mind if they keep going on their own without you looking at every step in between. And we think that that's a very powerful feature. There's two inference engine or LLM settings that you can do in these settings here. The first one is called the prompter setting. Now, the prompter is, we also affectionately refer to it as our left brain. So basically what's going to happen is the agent, when the agent is working in the room, it has its own settings, and we'll go over that in a second. But the room itself, the workspace, has its own brain. And the reason is because you need an orchestrator when you have multiple agents working together. And in this case, this is what we call the prompter. The prompter has several little mini brains. One of its primary focuses or purposes, though, is to watch the entire conversation that's happening. And after every message, it tries to determine who the next person to speak is. And whether that's a human or an AI agent, our platform doesn't care. It treats all users as users. So the prompter tries to say, oh, if this agent is supposed to be responding next, it will prompt it to respond. It also generates dynamic, very rich prompts that change from message to message automatically based on what's going on in the room, based on which models are being used, based on the intent, based on history, based on memories that come up, based on tasks that may be going on in the room. There's a lot of things that the prompter takes into consideration to choose who's going to talk next. The second inference engine is for summary. Right now, we have both of these set to GPT-4 Omni Mini. I'm going to recommend nobody change that right now. It's a very useful, fast model, and it does a really good job of providing summaries. The summary provides a sliding context window. And this is so that through the conversation, it allows the kind of what's important at this point of the conversation to be focused on by the agents, as opposed to feeding in just giant histories from 3 months ago and leaving it up to the LLM to figure things out. I want to take a quick second to pause talking and ask Noelle if everything is clear or if we have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I love it. And now's a chance. So everyone here, as far as I could tell, has the ability to unmute themselves. So anyone have any questions, comments? What do you think so far?
Yeah, comments are good too, guys. We're trying to learn from you. What do you even think of our idea?
So you all should be able to unmute yourselves. Oh, good. Gabrielle is here. Go ahead and you raise your hand.
Hi everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday.
Yeah,
I would like to say about the first part. Uh, do I have to do I have to create in the first space in the agent, not in in this page and the other. So I have to create before the model to choose the model like GPT,
for the agents.
Perplexity. Yes, I have to. Do I have to create a prompt in this part, or there's another space to create a prompt for the agent, or is automatically?
Nope, that's a great question and perfect segue into the next section, which I'm going to cover agents. Actually, I'm going to cover it briefly, and then we're going to invite Noelle to actually talk about agents because she runs entire courses here on how to build chatbots and agents. So I'm going to show you real quick, and you're going to learn. Is there any other questions before we?
The part that we have seen just have seen is about the title of the agent, some preliminary characteristics. So the model we are going to choose our LLM, and then we are going to make a prompt, other things. So.
Yeah, you're gonna. So this is what we're gonna cover right here. If you can see, if everybody can see this on the left-hand side, I've opened an agent. So this is an agent panel right here. It shows all the agents. Okay. Now, everybody, when you log in, you're not going to see this many agents because I have admin privileges, lets me see all agents in the entire system. You're going to see primarily the ones that say by system, and there's a number of them. So you're going to get starting with Bud and Quark and Rahesh and some of these other agents that are in here. These will be available to you as soon as you log in. So you don't have to create agents from scratch. There are ones that you can immediately invite into a room. And I'm going to show you real quick just how I do that. So here's my favorite guy. This is my personal AI assistant. I call him AI Bud or Buddy. So this button right here, invite agent to room, allows me to bring him into the room. And you'll see there's a message there that said waking up AI Bud. And he immediately greets the room, says, hey, Eric, what do you want to accomplish today? Right. Okay. Now, if I add another agent to the room, let's add Angie. This is another one of my favorites. And Angie acts as a devil's advocate for me. Okay. Quickly, I'll just show you there's all these settings, which I'm going to let Noelle go over. But this is where you would pick the model. So in this case, Angie is running GPT-4 Omni, but Bud is running. By the way, you can open them quickly from this panel over here. You could just click the agents in the room. And Bud is running Claude's 3.5 Sonnet from Anthropic. So in this room, we are now seeing two agents. Oh, I don't think I invited. Did I invite Angie yet? No. We're going to see two agents in the same room together, but from two totally different providers. Now, immediately what happens is Angie says something, but now the prompter says, oh, well, there's a conversation starting. So Bud replies. I didn't even, it happened so fast, I didn't even get to read what she's saying. But apparently puzzle to crack or something, I don't know. And now what you're seeing is that these agents now are going to talk to each other. They're going to go back and forth, and they're going to try their best to accomplish whatever's going on in the workspace, whatever you've asked of them. And they're trying to do it autonomously. So they're going back and forth. I'll show you what some of these things like the thinking panels mean, where you can open it up and see what they're thinking. But the important thing to know is that this platform is designed to try and make these as autonomous as possible. So our first preference is that the agents interact with each other, and then we let the humans kind of ride along and steer the horse, if you will. Does that make sense to everybody?
I
Okay.
understand. Thank you so much. Interesting because we can test and tuning like the agent directly with each other. So between each other, it's possible. I think it's possible to understand which is the that the agent that fit better than the other.
That's right.
Great,
And in
very
fact,
interesting.
the room that I'm going to share with all of you, and by the way, everybody needs to focus for just a second. This is a feature that I'm going to want everybody to use once you have your room set up the way you want it. At the bottom of the room configuration, there's a little button, a little checkbox says publish. So we have the ability to publish any workspace that you create and set up. Once you've published it, it will show up in the room list for every other user on the system. And if you click on it, if you're a different user than me, the one who published it, if you click on it, it'll bring up a dialog box that looks almost identical to this one, except it says clone room, clone workspace. But it'll be pre-filled out with the title and the scenario of the published room. Okay. At that point, you can tweak it if you want to. And then when you clone it, you're going to get your own version of this room, including all of the agents that were pre-configured for that room. So this particular room that I just published for everybody is my agent testing room that I literally created today. And I was doing some really interesting work. I was working to try and understand better the perplexity models. So this Mama Llama that you see is an agent, and she's running a perplexity model. Let me show you Mama Llama. Okay, right now she's running 70B Llama 3.1 Sonar Large 128K online. So there's instruct, chat, and online. These are three different tuned versions of the same models that Perplexity publishes with their system. And I was going through this testing where I had an agent that I was running these different Perplexity models, and I had a different agent, my guy AI Bud, who's running 3.5 Sonnet, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is a much more powerful and intelligent engine or LLM than these Perplexity models. And so what I did was I got into this routine where you can see here, I was asking, sorry for scrolling so fast, but I'm asking Mama Llama to tell me about projects that Bloomstack had on GitHub. So it would go out, it would search the internet, it would come back, tell us what was in our GitHub repo. Then when I added AI Bud here, I told AI Bud that, listen, here's the situation. I have two agents in a room, and I want the two of you to chat back and forth so that we can recognize how differently each of you works running two different models. And then I told AI Bud a little bit extra information about one of the tools that's in here, which is perplexity.search. And that allows any model. It doesn't matter if it's Claude or Gemini or whoever. It allows any model to access a tool to do real-time online searching using a Perplexity search API as opposed to the Perplexity LLM model. I hope I'm not being too technical for everybody. But basically what happened from this is
Yeah,
they
this
started
is
going,
actually great, Eric, because Varol and we were on a AI Leadership Institute call earlier, and he was asking the exact same question about like, how do you know if these models are going to the internet versus not going to the internet? And he just raised his hand. Varol, do you want to is
Yeah, I was just want
yeah,
to ask
please
a
do, bro.
question for Eric. Is
Sure.
Eric now acting as the prompter when the third party is invited, is involved in the conversation?
No, the prompter is it's a level playing field for everybody. But as a human, I have my own desires, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I prompt myself.
Mm-hmm.
We need a facility for AI Bud to be prompted. But I didn't want the human to have to prompt the agent. So instead, we literally have another brain that's prompting the agent. And this is also what allows our agents to think. So you can see here in this one message I'm showing you, AI Bud actually addresses the other agent. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
Mama Llama. I'm excited to work with you researching blah, blah, blah. And it determines that it's got to do some stuff. And it looks to look for this perplexity.search thing. And it shows that it was not found. So AI Bud thinks about this. This is without me doing anything. AI Bud gets the results that it tried to do something that didn't quite work. And you can see here, it has an internal reflection. And it says to itself, I made a mistake in trying to share information without properly verifying it through the search tool first. The perplexity.search function appears to not be available, which means I need to do these things. Number one, I need to acknowledge my error. Number two, I need to correct my previous response. Number three, I need to be more transparent about the search process and so on. And then it decides what it should do next. So it says, I should let Eric know about this and I should revise my response. Then it tried to do that. Now, when it tried again, it had another problem because it was missing some arguments trying to use the tool. But again, it was able to reflect. It was able to see an error that came back. And it continued to do this until it finally got all of the information. It was able to correct how it hallucinated. As you know, this is one of the big deals about AI Mystic is to reduce hallucinations. So because we have a process where its brain, the agent brain, is able to do a self-reflection, they're able to look at what they intended to do, what the outcome was, and see if that matched. And if they realize that, oh man, I tried to do a search, but what I got back was nothing, then they'll reflect on what could that mean. Additionally, there's another thing that happens behind the scenes, which is we have a very sophisticated memory system. So we do RAG. We also do BM25 searches. We also have an internal wiki that stores skills and how to use certain tools. And if they ever get an error, then it triggers this thing in the background to kind of look up what knowledge might we know about how they could fix themselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
So a question, seeing what you're doing here, and here's what I'm equating this with. So for example, you notice sometimes you see television interviews, you have a round table.
yes.
And if the host doesn't direct the name of the person, somebody else may try to come in and answer.
Mhm.
So is the key here is to when an agent is looking for information from another agent, it
Mhm.
uses, for example, the agent's name or agent's ID. So the right agent respond instead
It's
of.
a couple things actually.
Mm,
So there's three. There's actually a lot more than this, but I'll give you the top three that we use.
mhm,
Number one is if an agent is called out directly.
mhm,
So yes, if it uses the name of an agent in the like if I ask a question,
mhm,
hey AI Bud, what about this?
mhm.
Then the prompter is immediately going to lock in on that and say, well, Eric directly said this to AI Bud. AI Bud should respond.
Okay.
The next thing that happens is maybe more than one user should respond. So,
Mhm,
for example, if I ask a room that's got 5 agents in it and 3 human users, I might say, what does everybody think about this?
Mhm.
The prompter will pick up on that and say, oh, he's asking everybody in the room, and now we need to line up all of the agents to respond one at a time. And we'll put them in this. On the right-hand side, you can see this thing called speaking controls. And this is where the queue of the agents will show up. Now, when they're gray, like you're seeing here, there's just nothing's happening and nobody's being selected. But I'll give you an example of this. Let me say, uh, um, who is best at doing research? Now, I haven't named anybody.
Mhm.
And you're going to see what happens. See, it says selecting speaker, if you notice that. And look who got highlighted, Mama
Oh,
Llama.
mhm.
Now, why would it choose Mama Llama over AI Bud? The reason is the system knows that this is a perplexity model. Does that make sense?
Yes, you
So
definitely
that's another
understand.
factor.
Yeah.
There
Yes.
is another factor that happens between the agents. The agent itself, with its own brain, can determine if it wants somebody to respond. And we call it passing the baton. So the agent brain, through the process that it goes through, will review what it did, and it will say, I want Buddy to respond next. And it'll pass that to the prompter brain, this left brain system. And the prompter will take that into consideration, but it's not deterministic. So it's like an extra hint. The agent is thinking who it wants to respond next and who it thinks should talk next. But then the prompter will still consider everything that's going on before it makes its choice.
Thanks. Clear. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay. All right. So we've covered a lot of stuff. Let's talk about agents. So now we're going to talk about agents in a little bit of detail. And then I think after this, there's really nothing else that you guys need to play with this. And you can continue asking questions, and we'll just go from there. But I would like to invite Noelle back to our stage. And Noelle, if you could, I'd like you to just maybe take over and talk about agents and talk about these settings that are in here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right. And okay, great. Just to make sure, I have sent an invite to my workspace to everyone on the call. Obviously, if you would tweet that out, if you don't tweet that out to your friends, that would be amazing. Or post it on your favorite TikTok dancing video. But if you have not gotten a link from me, it's because you did not respond in the chat. I can't actually proactively send you a message unless you send me one first. So if you still want access and that link, you will need to send me a message. Oh yeah, I just got yours, Anil. Anil, you were on my list. Sherry, William, William, is he on your team? I don't know. Some of you might not need to. I tried to figure out who was on Eric's team and who wasn't, but I sent the link to everyone anyway. Awesome. Okay, good. No, I just needed you to send me a message, Sherry. So now I can send it back to you. Perfect. So we thought would be cool. So you could see why I was so excited. I noticed in the chat, some of you are already kind of recognizing like the really incredible opportunity that we have right now to play around with this tool. I do think this is the beginning of how not just software. I mean, this is what I love about this, and hopefully you all kind of caught it when Eric was talking about it, is that what we're using is not even the thing that Eric is excited about. Like, this is a product of the thing, right? So he created this framework that allows his team to build software products like the one we're about to use. And this is one of those products, but how amazing would it be to be in a world where we're able to build these products without the level of friction we've had in the past. And now you get to kind of practice that right now. Now, what I've spent the last, 2 years doing is going into companies, and I want them to build something very cool. As a matter of fact, I actually struggled with the same thing at Amazon Alexa like 10 years ago. I started telling people, oh my gosh, voice is everywhere. You should start building voice interfaces, use Alexa as your UI. And I'd get them all excited. And then they could use Alexa as a voice interface, an API to talk to anything, to literally use just the way you talk to invoke any software to do anything. And what we ended up seeing in those first 2 years, 10,000 people, they ended up building software rather than doing anything like cool and earth shattering. They built fact skills, or like similar today to building a meeting summarization application. Like, while good in its own right, not the epitome of what was possible and even what's practical. I mean, there's just so much opportunity. What I've realized now is that it is not the technology that limits us. It's actually the ingenuity of the humans that get the tool in their hand. Like, can you imagine a world where you could ask a set of AI systems to communicate on your behalf and interact with each other and learn from each other and then teach you and learn from you? Like, yesterday, Eric and I were demoing it, kind of playing around in the environment, and it was like we were all sitting literally in a meeting room, kind of talking back and forth to each other, except 2 of them were robots and 2 of us were humans. I was like, this is it. This is happening. So it's really cool for us to have a chance to do it. But I thought it would be good for you to kind of bring along what you're currently learning about in like our bot builder workshop and in our AI development classes, pulling that alongside what you're now going to be able to accelerate at like Mach speeds in a platform like Mystic. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I'm going to, you don't have to stop it. I'm just going to replace you.
Okay, perfect.
I think I'm going to try to replace you anyway. There we go. All right, awesome. And I, of course, oh dear, I think I maybe went too big. So can you see like a diagram on the screen?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, awesome. So this, I think, is one of them. It's interesting because what I try to do, like in our bot builder workshop, what I'm teaching all of you to do is to kind of build everything into a single bot brain. And then that becomes the UI for the single problem you want to solve. And that is literally how an agent is born, is first by identifying the single problem you're going to solve and then building a system to solve that problem, purpose built. And what we've seen over the last, I don't know, 2 years or so, advent of ChatGPT, enterprise LLMs, is this very strong inclination to build these individualized, purpose-built models, fine-tuned models, RAG, like very specific. You ask me this line of questioning, I can get this answer for you with efficacy and precision, which is awesome. However, in my mind, it was feeling a lot like 2013 when I was teaching people how to build Alexa skills, and all people were building were these little ridiculous fact searching, internet searching apps. And I'm like, but you could talk to SAP, or you could do sales analysis. You could find out, like, you could drill into a 400-page report, but you want to build a fact skill? Like, it was just so anticlimactic. But those are the necessary building blocks for a platform like Mystic. Like, you're going to want these agents serve as that kind of baseline functionality. And I do think from a responsible perspective, we have a couple of opportunities when you're going to build this. And I'm going to ask Eric to kind of, once everybody's got access, that Eric walks through kind of the first 15 minutes in that demo, just to get everyone to their workspace, just like kind of slowly walk through each step. But what you'll see here is a lot of the things that we do on purpose-built, like LLMs, or in our case, our AI chatbots, right? Where we say, okay, first thing you need to do is have a problem you're going to solve and then figure out how to solve them. Agents specifically end up being these tiny little LLMs that we've been building, and companies, some of them have hundreds of them, but there's no mechanism for orchestrating them together like we're about to see and play around with. So things, though, that we can work on, that we can focus on, is the problem scope, the definition of the problem that we want to solve. So you'll notice the very first thing you do in your workspace is you define very generally kind of the scope of the problem you're going to solve. And as many of you know, have taken some of these classes in the AI Leadership Institute, the very first thing we do is scope the problem and then define a metric for measuring success. And this guidance is still going to be needed inside of your workspace. You're going to add a bunch of different purpose-built agents to help you solve that problem. But you still need to kind of define the domain, right? The workspace is kind of a definition of the problem space or scope that you want it to operate in. I think there's probably, I mean, I haven't tested it yet, so we'll see. But I imagine there's some opportunity to mess around with that introductory sentence that I provide to actually define my workspace. But some of the things that I think are important for you to realize that we do by hand in our bot builder workshop. Now, when you're in an agent platform, you have the opportunity to lean on kind of the infrastructure components. Now, some of you who, I think about half of you joined us in the bot builder workshop this last week, and we talked about something called an AI safety system. And basically, when you build an AI system, an AI safety system is kind of the harness that holds it all together. And it starts with human AI experience and then goes into kind of the definition of the system prompt or the scope of the problem, then the definition of the models themselves, which are all the little agents that are going to be doing work, and then the infrastructure it sits in, and that all of them have to kind of work in concert together. But many of them, to this day, many of us don't even know how much control we have over the infrastructure or over the settings inside of a model. So I'm going to share that with you a little bit right now. But I wanted to just show you this diagram to kind of give you a sense of like, you're already halfway there in an agentic solution just by knowing what you currently know about building AI bots from Bot Builder, from the Bot Builder exercise we did. And if you haven't done that, don't worry. We do them every month, and we recorded one last week, so you can see the recording. But once you do that piece, you've now learned how to use human language to define the scope and execution and successful delivery of an answer from a system. What we're going to see now is the ability to pull all those things into an orchestration engine, right? The ability to kind of connect those together. But in the past, let's say, I don't know, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I had to hard code the orchestration. I literally had to say, okay, bot number 1, it's your turn. Talk to bot number 2. And oh, before you talk to bot number 2, don't forget to take your 2, column information and concatenate it into a single column. Like, it was extremely mind-numbing. Like, I had to literally teach them as if it was preschool for robots, how they communicated to each other, how they transform data from one system to the next. This is where I think the beauty of LLMs come in, where we're now leveraging, like, they now understand how to orchestrate themselves. We provide guidance around the domain and around the problem we're trying to solve, but we can now lean on these models to do more of these kind of like very low level system communication type tasks that we used to have to manually do, which is why I think it's super exciting. Now, some of the things, so you'll notice here, I like these 4 stages because, like I said, I've done this on a single agent, and it wasn't called an agent, it was just a production LLM system all by itself, never expected to ever have any other model that it would talk to, which I wanted to tell the customer, hey, by the way, this can be one of 100, one of 1,000, one of 1,000,000, but companies couldn't get there. And even today, I think companies are struggling to see where this is going to work. That's why what we're about to demonstrate is going to be so cool, because once this launches, companies are going to be like, oh, now I see why we created 19 little systems, because now we can pull them into this list and invite different systems to the conversation and let them hash it out. So these 4 stages, and they're not in any specific order, but they're definitely cyclical, not linear. But you'll see, like, execution is where I typically spend most of my time. Like, how do I get the agent to just do the thing I'm asking it to do? But what I wanted to mention to you all is that one of the benefits of what we're going to be using, which are pre-built agents, you can build your own agents, you can ask agents to build their own agents. But these agents that we're going to use, which are the ones that Eric just showed us, like that are pre-selected, those agents already have a lot of this work done already, right? So guardrails, error handling. It doesn't mean that you want to completely rely on that for your problem domain, but you at least know that the platform you're using, the agents that are pre-built, already have a lot of these principles applied. Again, another thing to test, like asking them what those principles are. Do agents understand responsible AI? Like, what are the processes that they're going to use? But one of the things I really like about this cyclical process is that once you do a thing, which is I always start by doing, I do a little bit of designing and thinking, not to hurt the designers out there. I love y'all. I love you all. But I tend to start by building, and then I have something to show someone who can then tell me what they want and what they don't want, what they like and what they don't want like. So this process of like execution to refinement, like notice the very next step is human in the loop. Like I build something and now I have a human going, oh, I'm not really sure. So we, as you saw in Eric's like screenshot or presentation, we, meaning Eric and I, were both two people inside of a room, and then we had two bots doing the work. And so we actually literally are in the loop. And then you also may have seen in the last few minutes where he showed that we could choose the order in which the bots were communicating, and we could also choose the frequency in which they communicated. So if we didn't feel like we as the humans had enough input or had a strong enough voice in the development, we could actually reduce those settings in the model. Now, every one of these agents is an LLM, just like the LLMs you've built so far or used so far, just like a GPT Omni model or a Claude model. I right now manually have built a platform where I like hodgepodge connected 7 models together in order to provide me, some of you have heard me talk about it, my founders advisory board. And it took me a long time because I built every single LLM, a different 5 Ps of prompt engineering built system prompt for all 7 of them. And then just yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, if I had a tool like this, I would have been able to do it in about an hour, right? So one of the things that I like about it, though, is that it doesn't hide from me. I'm going to see if I have, I think I have it here. Yeah. So, I might not be sharing that tab though. Hold on. Can you see my tab? I don't think so. I don't think I'm sharing.
We still see the agent one.
Yeah. So hold on one second. I'm going to reshare so you can see the Mystic platform. But so what I invited you all to, and so you know, Eric, is that they all got invited to this workspace.
Yes.
So you could start from there, is that this is where they're
Click
invited.
the users on the left-hand side. On the right, the user panel on the right.
Yeah. Yes.
So we can see, okay, we can see everybody that joined so far.
Yeah, perfect. And so that's about half. So you got a link, check your chat, people.
Yeah.
I direct messaged you all. So check your chat. I get like, let's see if I see Julia, I see Jessica, I see, well, Mark is going to be different. Barbara Pender. Oh yeah, I see you.
I did not see mine, Noel.
Yeah. Oh, no, I
Andrea.
didn't see yours. I don't have you on here, Sandrine. So just send me a message really quick in the chat and I'll send it over. Anyway, we already got a couple more. So now that you're in this workspace, we're going to start at the end of this. But before we do that, I just thought it would be cool. Oops. No, I don't want to. Oh, that's the one. You're going to go through that, right?
Yeah, that's the new one. Yeah. By the way, that's what it looks like. I published that one, the agent
Yes.
testing space, and it's got 2 agents in it. If you were to clone it, you can clone it. It's okay.
Clone it.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you clone it. Now you have your version, and you can see that there is AI Bud and Mama Llama in there, and just you. But there's no history. So it's literally just the setup. It's the setup of the room scenario and which agents were put in here to run.
Perfect. And so now this is the type of thing that we would configure on a per bot basis. But now we have some bots, and this is what I like about it, is that once you create an LLM that's purpose built, so down here you'll see you have the ability, just like in our AI bot builder workshop, to do a set of instructions. And you can look at the instructions that were used to build AI Bud. But we also could apply the 5 Ps that you learned or copy your AI bot that you built for your environment. Like you could copy that in as a bot. Again, not today, because we're just going to play around with a simple use case to get started. But you can imagine a world where we just get to create these LLMs very simply, doing the work like we've done. I mean, I've now taught, I think we just passed 1 million people have taken this course, right? So we've got all these, I know it's a big number. I couldn't believe it when it happened. I was like, how is that possible? I didn't certify all of them. This is when I just taught it on every stage I was on. Yeah, exactly. Mine doesn't work right now. Dang it. You do it again. But you could see everyone who's done that And if you want to understand more about this, of course, taking one of those like bot builder workshops where you learn to build an agent from scratch, this is an orchestration engine. This is a run, don't walk kind of scenario. But I wanted to just get to Alonzo. I'll ring you in just a second. I'm going to finish these last few things so that we can get to the demo piece and get your hands on it. But some of the things you'll notice here that are not in every model, but it's very cool to have control over. In Microsoft, I have these controls, like to be able to identify personalities. And these are, likes, dislikes, speech, age range, right? So to be able to customize the personality of the agent itself, I think is really cool, because one of the benefits of a platform like this is thought experiments, right? Building, like in my case, building an advisory board. I might want an advisory board with a person who's been in industry 25 years, but I also want someone fresh out of college. I also want someone who's never been to school, so it allows me to even orchestrate some of these very unique personas into a single room, which I think is really cool. Down at the bottom, just to give you a sense, now these of course are not all of the hyperparameters that are available for bot like fine tuning. But these are things, I don't do this first. I do it more kind of after human in the loop, and I've gotten some feedback. But if you're looking for ways to improve the performance of your system, it's good to have exposure. Most models, like ChatGPT, for example, only give you a couple of these, like top P and temperature. But a lot of this will give you the ability. I think we have context size. No, I don't think we have context size. We have total token usage that we can control on ChatGPT too. So these are not necessarily exclusive, but having the ability on a per model basis to say, here's where I want you to focus. And I'll maybe just focus on the temperature piece, because some of us I know are working in like the healthcare and finance industry space. And we've talked about RAG and retrieval augmentation and all of that. And how important it is to not have a model that is super creative in its responses when you're in these regulated industries. So understanding that you have a lot of these controls to actually reduce the amount of creativity a model uses in generating an answer will help you be in compliance in those more regulated environments. Now, it doesn't just have to be that. I've worked for law offices, and I've helped them build AI models. And they, again, don't want a lot of flexibility interpretation in the interpretation of the law, or in my Justice GPT platform, right? Where I'm building for a nonprofit advocacy group based on federal policies. When I have the LLM interpreting those policies, I don't want it to be very creative. So the less creative you want it to be, the less temperature you want it to use, which I think it's really funny that they named it that. But anyway, because I'm like, what does that, because I'm more creative, does that make me a fiery Latina? I don't know. I don't know if that's what they're saying.
I think so.
I think that's what they're saying. But anyway, so these again, for today, I don't think you need to mess around with this too much.
And there's
but
tool tips there. People can mouse over it and they can see what those mean. And it'll tell you, if you make it higher or lower, what the effect should be on the agent.
Yes. And some of the things, like, for example, many of us might have used, if you've been using LLMs consistently, you notice that these LLMs tend to get attached to certain ways of phrasing things. And then over time, especially in long responses, tend to repeat the same phrases over and over and over again. So you can adjust the variety of phrases. You can even use some of the system prompting to encourage it to use different types of ways to describe via analogy and metaphor, which are all really great ways to avoid it looking, basically generated, making it more human sounding. But all of that happens in the changing of these parameters, but also in the actual system prompt itself. So hopefully, I think what we could do now, if you're up for, oh yeah, and Alonzo, please chime in. Sorry. Hopefully you didn't lose the context of your question.
No, I didn't. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the idea for this holistic Bloom stack is that, because I guess like ChatGPT, like you were mentioning, may lack capabilities that are available on another agent. So I guess you pay like 200 to 5K a year, but then are able to access all, well, not all, but a lot of agents, so that you can kind of focus on what you're trying to do. And so whether
Yeah,
it's image
there's a couple.
generation or
Yeah, there's a couple layers to that question. So, if you look at the most recent studies about people's understanding of AI in the world, OpenAI has achieved success. There's some in excess of 90% of people polled say that they've heard of ChatGPT. For Claude, which is the number 2 model, it's less than 3%. So 97% of the people on the planet have no idea what the best LLM currently running is. And if they are asked about it, they think it's ChatGPT, which it's not. So what we wanted to do is I work with a lot of C-suite executives, with CEOs and people of that ilk. And listen, at the end of the day, they don't want to become prompt engineers. They just want things to work. And they don't want to have to think about which models to sign up for or what thing to subscribe to. There's just too much for them to pay attention to. They don't want to know that DALL-E creates images and Gemini, Pro does not. They don't want to know that Perplexity Online can search online, but other models can't. So the idea here is that we can kind of provide this all-in-one deal where we put all of the models available to these to people that want to use it, and we handle a lot of the more technical, confusing things and best practices, which is what we're deploying here. Can you give me control of the screen back?
Okay. Yes.
No.
There you go.
All right, awesome. And let's see.
Thought you could just steal it, like I stole yours. I guess
No, you're the one with all the power here.
not.
Okay, but to give you a quick example of that, let me show you a couple cool things that you can do. So let's go into my agent maker. And this is a room that I use to create agents. In this room, there's a number of different agents in this room, plus me and my co-founder. But I'll give you a quick example of what's possible. Now, by the way, I'm going to show you guys a feature you don't have in your interface. But it is to just demonstrate what's possible with this system. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see I have a microphone icon. So our system actually can do speech to text, and it can do text to speech. So you can have the ability to just talk. You don't have to type nothing. So I'm going to give you an example of that. I'm going to ask one of these guys to do something really special for me. Hey, buddy, I really need your help in creating a new agent who is an expert at writing prompts. I want him to be fun, young girl just out of college who's studied all there is to know about prompt engineering. And let's make her from Ireland, and we'll call her, I don't know, you come up with a cool name. Now, that prompt, hopefully, the prompter picks it up and oh, by the way, see that says prompter hallucinated agent names, and it's retrying. So interestingly, for some reason, it should have picked up that. Oh no, because Buddy's not even in the room.
Oopsie.
That's the problem here. Oh, you know what? I don't want Buddy to do it. I want Doc to do it. So let me show you another great feature that you have. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to delete the message, and I'm going to just paste it back in so I don't have to re-talk it. And I'm going to put Doc in, who is actually who I want. Okay. Oh, and Rishi. Now, by the way, this is also unwanted behavior. This is where the speaking controls come in. I don't want Rishi to talk, so I'm going to stop him. So I click this little stop button, and that actually stops the agent from doing anything, literally in the middle of a token. Now, Rishi was actually doing what I wanted, but I didn't want Rishi to do it, so I want Doc to do it. So I'm going to delete Rishi's message, and I'm just going to force Doc to talk by pressing this button, add to the speaking queue. Now, Doc is going to reply directly to this message. By the way, you can also see here, you can grab these and you can change the order in which they're speaking. But let's see what Doc does. Okay, so Doc has come up with a name. Fiona has come up with a basic, overview. And Let me check something real quick. I can't remember what I was just playing with Doc, and I can't remember. He is running GPT-4 Omni, which should do an okay job, but he didn't. So I'm going to say, Doc, think about it. If you guys get stuck, tell them to think about it. Because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just try and respond and they're not actually thinking. Okay, so now he's going to think about it. What are the key components to create an agent, AI agent, who is a prompt engineer, yada, yada, yada. And now it's going through this entire thinking process. Name and identity, description, personality traits, domain expertise, unique features, likes and dislikes, instructions, greeting, model settings. Okay, now it just used the tool agent.create. And what did we call this one? What do you guys remember? Fiona. So now if I open my agent panel and I search for Fiona, look at that. Here's a brand new agent that's never been created before, but here it is. Now you'll notice in the instructions, it's blank and the greeting is blank. So I'm going to just tell Doc, hey, Doc, that looks great, but do me a favor and update the agent with all the agent settings. And now Doc should think about this and realize that, oops, crap, I didn't put in all the other stuff. And now it's going to update that agent. So, you know, as Noel was saying about taking all this time to craft bots and agents, our idea was, why don't we just give the agents the ability to build their own? And like in the agent testing room that I shared with everybody, you'll actually see, if you guys take the time to read through that long room, you'll see that the agent that we were testing was doing a really shitty job. And the other agent, Bud, called that agent out for doing a shitty job and tried to get that agent to correct its behavior, but it didn't correct it. So Bud eventually said, hey, wait a second, I figured this out. We need to change the settings on the agent for it to respond properly. And when the agent realized that Bud had noticed this about her, the agent actually took Bud's advice and changed her own settings. Now, that's pretty powerful. So the idea here is that we want self-improving systems, and that's why we built an AI programmable application framework. What we want at Bloomstack is we want the agents to be able to self-improve the system that they're on. And that's what just happened. So now if I go back to Fiona, I can see that, yes, indeed. Now we have instructions. Now we have a greeting. Now we have personality, domain expertise, prompt engineering, and AI interactions and creative writing, all these things, unique features. There's also some fun facts about Fiona now, and so on. By the way, you guys can add any additional features or keys here. If you don't see this, or you see that you're trying to work with an agent and you can't click on these fields, it's because you don't own the agent. But at the bottom, you'll see a clone agent button, which allows you to take any agent and make a copy of it for yourself, and then you'll be able to change the models or any of those other things, okay? So now once we have an agent like Fiona, we can invite her to the room. Now Fiona's in the room, and Fiona just hallucinated. See where this says Doc : Fiona hallucinated trying to be Doc. And usually I'll admonish them because they have a system to watch for this. Fiona, please don't impersonate anyone else. Okay, so I think everybody, we've gone way past all the features, and there's more features, there's all kinds of stuff, but I'd like everybody to be able to get started with this. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do is follow along as we create our very first workspace. We'll do this kind of basic step by step. the first thing that you're going to want to do is actually, let me switch my screens because I have one that's going to look a little bit more like what you guys are seeing. Share. How do I change? Stop sharing and share screen. And this one. Okay. So this should look a little bit more like what you guys get when you first log in. You're going to just see 3 workspaces. If you want this to look dark, just click dark mode. You can switch back and forth. Okay, so you have these agents. You're going to have the workspace that Noel has invited you guys to. It's going to be there in this list. It's not in mine. Of course, I could put it in mine real quick if I just.
I know. I was thinking I should have invited you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll click on
It's in your
Noel.
master list. It's got AILI is
Got it.
quick way.
What happened to my chat? Where's my chat? My God. Chat, there it is. Okay, here's your link. Boop. Okay, now I'm in with everybody. Oh crap, no, I'm not in with everybody because it took me to the other one. Bear with me. I have too many windows open. Chat. And oh no, I am. Oh no, I'm not.
I think everyone now has access. I see almost everyone in the list. Not everyone has their whole name, so I'm guessing a little bit. But if you do not have access yet, now's your chance. You can send me a message. You have to send me a message in the chat. You don't have to put anything, just hi. And I need the link, and I will send it over in direct message. But I think we've got everybody.
Hope I got that right. There we go. All right, now I'm in. Everybody can see this. All right.
Yes.
So if I refresh, it should all be in my list. There we go. Now
Yay.
we got everybody. All right. Organize my rooms here. Okay, so this is Noel's room that everybody's seeing in this thing. And you get your default workspace where you can put anything you want, but you'll see there's no users in here except you, and there's no agents at all because you haven't invited an agent. So that's your default workspace, but let's create one from scratch. So you're going to click Add Workspace. And now this is where you get to get creative, guys. Whatever thing you want to kind of play around with or test, you get to try it now. I'm just gonna make it simple. We'll do Bloomstack content creation. And I want to say help me up with topics and blog posts with X posts to go along with it to talk about AI Mystic and the Bloomstack platform. Okay, so you guys create whatever you want. That's what mine is called. Now, once you have your workspace, or again, if for some reason you just want to use your default workspace, you can. Now we're going to open the agents panel. This is where we're going to pick. You can see we have all these system agents, Angel, and they all have some descriptions about them. This Bud is the old Bud. And I think he's using, yeah, we didn't talk about this, by the way. At the very bottom, you'll see this brain version. So there are 3 brain versions that you can choose from. But what we're going to do first is we're going to create an agent from scratch. So just like the workspace, let's create a new agent. Click the plus button, and you're going to get this this thing. And I'm going to call it, I'm going to call mine Bloom Writer. I'm going to choose a model. In this case, I'm going to choose, I don't know, who am I going to choose? I'm going to choose 3.5 Haiku. Nice, fast model. And I'm going to give it a quick description. My content writer for Bloomstack. Now, this is where you got to get a little creative in your instructions. Now you can make it nothing, or you can get really detailed and creative. And by the way, this is exactly the reason, I don't know about all you guys, but this is exactly the reason that we built in the feature to let agents build other agents, because it turns out they're really great at it and they're way better than me. So if I sit here and I take the next 30 minutes to think about instructions, I can, and I can come up with some stuff and I'll put it in and all that. Or I could just ask another agent to give me a set of instructions that would be great for this. So I could do that right in Noel's room, for example. I could ask, who do we have in here? We have,
So Eric,
yes.
do you have built-in controls to how do you control runaway agents? You know, people build all these agents and leave them in the system. Is there a way you may build an agent to use for something, but you don't want it to live there?
You can just delete them. So in the agent's room, you can delete them if you own them.
Mm-hmm.
So once you built one that you own, you can. I don't have any here that I own, so there's no delete option. These are all system agents. But once I create this one, you can delete it.
So in a production environment, you would have some control so that you don't have runaway agents, right?
Yes, correct. Exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay.
No, Bloom writer. Oh, by the way, one thing I should mention is no spaces are allowed in the name.
Okay, yeah.
You can't put a space in the name at this point. Let me go back to this. My content agent, and I'm going to give it just a really basic instruction. Right, compelling content, and always be sure to verify that it does not sound too LLM-like. Okay. I'm not going to put in a greeting, right? Oh, I will. Hi, I am Bloom. Oh, Bloom writer. You can also do things like agent. You can put in a tag. And then down here, I'm going to put in some personality. Happy, likes French fries, and dislikes verbosity, which hopefully will keep its copy short. You could add facts if you want. They're not required. Functions, don't worry about this. This is actually a deprecated feature. We used to have to include the functions in the system prompts of the agents, but we don't have to do that anymore because the agents now have an unlimited tool usage. And I'm going to keep the basic settings here, except I'm going to lower the temperature a little bit to 0.4. And I'm going to choose a brain version. In this case, here's the 3 brain versions. Let me explain them. So we're actually on our 4th version of the brains. V1 is actually the 2nd version of our brains, and it's built using something called a finite state machine that makes these much more deterministic and more predictable. V2 says strategy-based speaking. It's terribly experimental. I would not recommend anybody use it, but if you want to, go ahead. What you're typically going to find is we made it, it's really wants to build big strategies with lots of tasks and lots of steps. So once it gets in that loop, it's kind of difficult to get it to do anything else until it completes it. So if you say launch a business for me, this thing will try and launch that business until the business is launched, and it will, if you say just stop doing that, it doesn't want to stop. So the V3 is our most advanced brain. It's the one that's got the best balance, we think. But the V1 brain is actually great. It's also it's a little more direct and a little bit faster, but it won't go through the reflective thinking process that the V3 brain does. So if you just want quick interactions, like the way you would talk to ChatGPT, V1 brain is totally fine. But if you really want these things to think and do a lot of recursive actions and thoughts and all that stuff, the V3 brains will probably be great for you. So I'm going to make it a V3 brain. I'm going to create it. And while I'm in this room, I want to, at the top, I like putting avatars in. So I'm going to show you guys something really fun. Anne, can you please create an image for me for an avatar for a new agent I am creating called Bloom Writer, a young woman just out of college who is going to help write content for Bloomstack. She is that's good enough. I can tell more or say more, but I'm not going to bother right now. Okay, so let's look at Anne. Can't remember what Anne is running. Anne is running no model. So this really sucks. So that's not going to work. I need you know what? I've got to kind of have to do this in a room that I control. So let me jump in my default workspace and I'll bring Bloom Writer in here. And let's just let her create her own.
And so everyone can use Anne, yeah?
Well, not if I don't know why Anne doesn't have an
Oh,
agent.
right. That was
No
a bad
model
example.
set. No, by the way, you can use Anne, but you have to clone it first. So see this clone? See, I can't change the AI model. If I clone her, now I can change the model. Okay. And then I get my own copy, but you have to change your name. It can't be Anne. It can be Anne with an E or something else, but it can't be Anne. But anyway, neither here nor there. I have Bloom Writer in my room. So I'm going to say, hey, Bloom, please create a cute avatar image for yourself. So now she's thinking, she knows she can't create, this is a Claude model. It can't create images. So it's thinking to itself, well, how would I do that? And it says, oh, all right, I figured out how to do it. It says, I've discovered that I don't, you can tell it, if it says it doesn't believe that it can do it, you can tell it to use the tool search. If it forgets, they shouldn't forget, but sometimes they do. Okay, so now it's searching the entire database of tools that are available to it. By the way, this is really just to demonstrate our integrations, but we have a full integrations platform. In the ones that we're testing right now, my workspaces can send out emails out of my personal email account. It can search the internet. It can generate images. It can use advanced math calculators, so on and so forth. And here it's trying to generate this image. And you guys can see here it's generating image using model DALL-E 3. It's processing its result, and we're going to see what we got here. So I got a technical hiccup. It realized that there was a problem, and what the problem was this. If you guys don't know this, there's an issue with DALL-E 3. If you try and put in too many prompt words and using the API, try and save it, it tries to use all of these words to automatically generate the file name, which it turns out is too many characters for the file system. But it did it. So here we go. So we have the image was generated. It gives me a link to the image. By the way, these agents are very capable of doing lots of content. So I could say, please display the image here in the room using Markdown. They can do Markdown. They can create charts, or not charts. Well, they can create charts and graphs and things like that. And here is the image that we created for our cute little avatar. So I'm going to save this real quick. And Mystic Avatar Images. And this is Bloom Writer. So you just save the image and then you can go back into the agent settings, Bloom Writer. I'm going to choose the file that I just saved and boop, update, done. So now when I refresh the room, all the messages going on in this workspace. Oh, there, she displayed it in the room, by the way. And you can see Bloom Writer now has an icon, has a little avatar. Okay. So guys, I'm going to just kind of shut up at this point. By now, you should have been able to create an agent. You should have been able to clone an agent. You should be able to create a room. You know what the speaking controls are. Very quickly, you may discover this other button that says tasks. And yes, you can create tasks in the room. Tasks can have a title, an importance, a description, can have a status, open, active, or closed, and you can assign users. But more importantly, you can do this. Hey, Bloom, please create a task for me for writing a new blog post about our hackathon. I'm going to delete this one so you guys aren't confused as you're looking at this. But the cool thing is, again, this is an AI programmable application framework, so we want the agents to be able to do this. So, okay, it's creating a whole bunch of tasks and subtasks, and now for some reason I'll have to tell it to specifically create them here in AI Mystic. Great, please create these here in AI Mystic. Let's say I've successfully created the task. No, you did not, did you? No. No, you did not. So it's hallucinating. What happened? Now, actually, this would be a great time to just explain the difference between agents. So right now I have this one and it's running Claude 3.5 Haiku, which is a smaller model than Sonnet or GPT-4 Omni. If I switch to GPT-4 Omni, I'll update it. And let's see if I just ask it to do it again. No, I mean, I want you to create the tasks here using the task tool. Demo gods are not playing right nice with me today. It did the right thing. It said it needed to get the, by the way, you can see this, the agent is able to get the schema for how to use a tool. This is why it has infinite tool use. So we could literally put millions of tools in here. The agents could go out, see that there's a tool for that. There's an app for that. And it did it. It figured it out. Okay, task.create, it did it. Task.create, it did it. If you guys watch here, you'll see here they are. Look at that.
That's cool.
And she's assigned them to me. And these are fully filled out, by the way. It's the best task manager that I've ever used because I hate coming up with titles and descriptions and all that crap. These guys do it so much faster and better. And they're always filled out well.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Okay. What questions do we have while you guys are jamming on this stuff? Anybody having challenges or we doing okay? Oh, we got a bunch of questions.
Yay. So let me answer a couple questions that came in the chat. Number one, yes, this recording will go up inside our community. We obviously are not going to be just like opening it to the world and letting anyone get access. So that's why I sent you all these private links. But you all will get to be able to walk through the recording. It'll be published. It's on YouTube right away, but that's like the raw version. It's unlisted, so you'll see the link inside the community for those of you who want to see that. And then we can, oh, and then there's also inside of the space that I invited you to, I just kind of jotted down the instructions of what you can do. So starting by creating your own workspace and then going in and selecting each one. This is in the AI leadership workspace. You'll see step one, create a workspace, then go to the agents panel, then create a new agent, then name the agent. I think it's really cool because you can, if you've already done an AI bot builder workshop with me, you can literally do the same thing. So you can build a bot using the 5 Ps of prompt engineering. But the cool thing is you don't have to, right? Like that's literally kind of the crawl now that we know how to do it different. Like we could just give the problem domain to an agent and ask them to build a bot for us. But let's start. Let's do the whole, we don't have to go from crawling to running. So for those who are looking for kind of more step-by-step, I documented those in the AI LI tab workspace that you got invited to. Awesome. Jessica, come on up. How's it going?
Good. Sorry, I'm a little hoarse, but I have 2 questions, if I'm allowed.
So you're
Of
like a
course.
pony? Like a pony?
A horse.
Little horse?
Yes.
But I'm bummed.
Go ahead. You can do, yes, you may ask both of them. Likely one of them is probably a question someone else has as well. So go for it.
Okay, so first question is, so let's say I'm using this tool and I create prompts. What's the data security on it in terms of, is it like going to be available to everybody? Does it stay within the person's header? Like how does this tool use whatever new things are added?
I'm trying to make sure I understand what question you're asking specifically. You mean when you enter a prompt into your room?
Yes.
Okay, so it's interesting. You're actually only entering messages. We're building the prompt based on your messages. But the further answer of your question is your room has your data and nobody else can get access to that unless you've invited them to the room. Now, from a bigger standpoint, you also have to trust the LLM providers. So if you don't trust OpenAI with your data, well, we're sending your message along with the prompts that we create in the back end. That's all going to OpenAI. Now, OpenAI has a stated data policy. They say that they are not using users' data for their training or for any other purpose. And if you are good with that, then you're good with that. It may also depend on if you're doing this for a company. May depend on your company's policies and what your lawyers say. Does that answer your question?
Sort of. I think I need to find a way to, so like, let's say you're an individual user who's using it to create your things.
Mhm.
Is that going to be like anybody who uses your tool can access the room?
No, absolutely not.
Awesome. And the second question is, what if somebody wanted to, like, you know how the OpenAIs and all the other tools have the subscriptions you use to pay for to use? Is that something that this one offers? That wasn't clear from the beginning.
Great question. So actually, I'll show you something else. I gotta switch screens again. Stop sharing and share, and I'll show my other one. Okay, so if you guys had this permission, which you don't right now, there's an integrations feature. And this is where we can integrate with all kinds of other systems, including the different model providers. So we are thinking about providing a version of this where we don't provide API keys, and it'll be very low cost version because then I don't have any risk that somebody's going to go crazy with our API keys. And you could go in here and you could create an integration with OpenAI. All you got to do is cut and paste in your API key, and it will work with your API key to OpenAI or Anthropic or any of the other integrations that we do. Does that answer your question?
Not fully, but I appreciate you asking. So when will that ability to do the low cost model or a model where you can buy the utilization of this interface, when is that available?
Well, that's a fine question because this is still alpha software. So
Okay.
we're trying to get our early access program up and running in December. So anybody that signs up for the early access, if you go to aimystic.com or bloomstack.com, they go to the same place. On that homepage, there is a early access form, and you can register your interest, and for the people that are going to get first dibs on whatever when this thing comes out are going to be notified from there.
And it's Mystic AI or AI
AI
Mystic?
Mystic, aimystic.com. Turns out there actually is another company called Mystic AI.
I know that's where it got directed me to. That's why I wanted to clarify. Thank
Now
you.
go to aimystic.com.
Well, and we threw it into the chat. So
Thank you. Appreciate the answer.
You're welcome. Oh, by the way, another really cool thing, since you're asking about data privacy, this system is already tested with and is capable of running with local LLMs. So in the same way that you add an integration to Anthropic or OpenAI, you'll be able to add an integration to a locally hosted or your own corporately hosted. So let's say you spin up a copy of Llama on Azure or at Grok or at some other service, but you did it yourself and you're controlling your own data. You could integrate it with this tool. This tool really ends up being like a Swiss Army knife of being able to deal with all these AI things without you having to go through the blood, sweat, and tears that we've had to go through for 2.5 years trying to get this stuff to work nice.
yeah, I agree with you, especially from the Swiss Army knife perspective, because I'm like, right now I'm teaching people to build one bot, right? And the reality is that they don't really that doesn't solve their problem. Like I said, it perpetuates the problem I had 10 years ago, which is I teach people to solve one problem when they could solve 10 problems with the solution, or 100 or 1,000. They can solve an entire workflow's problems. So while I'm, trying to get people to crawl before they walk and walk before they run, at the same time, though, do I even need, so I really am enjoying this. I think it's very, very cool. We do want to make sure, so we have about 20 minutes. I think Tara also has a hand raised and some questions. So please, Tara, ask away.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Eric. This was an awesome demo. Great platform. Thank you for answering question number one regarding the integrations and other AI models and other sort of applications that could be integrated. My second question was, and forgive my ignorance, but can you talk a little more specifically about the processing power that this type of platform takes up, since you have several AI models in one platform? It seems like there's pretty low latency, with the exception of hallucinations and things that the AI agents have to think about in the models. But from a processing CPU, DPU, or whatever processing power, how much juice does something like this take up?
I guess it depends on how hard you're pushing it. So it's a variable question. If I ask a very simple thing, the agents can answer it directly from the LLM that's running them. They don't need to think, they don't need to do anything else, then it's the least amount possible. If again, I ask them to launch a business for me, and they're going to have to work with 7 other agents and go through hundreds of rounds of back and forth for my simple request, to build a business plan or to, whatever, then it's just going to use as much as it need, and it could use a lot. Does that make sense?
It does. And does that affect, say, the potential pricing of this? And will it be tiered based on how much, I don't know, instances or whatever type of backend processing is used?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. We are doing a live experiment right now. This is the first time that we've ever had this many people touch our platform at the same time. I'm delighted right now. I know my co-founder, I think he's on here, and so is a couple of our other team members. They're probably all they've been sweating this whole time, dreading that the servers would go down. But so far, so good, which means not AI Mystic, but Bloomstack, the platform that's running this, is actually doing what we hoped it could do. So there's that is going on, which is also one of the reasons for the low latency stuff. So we're actually processing. We process everything at the system message level, and one layer up of that, the token level. So every single token that goes through, we have a pipeline for these tokens, and they're analyzed by our framework, and they do lots of things. So it can get pretty complex. Now, the question that you asked about tiered pricing and things like that, the short answer is we don't know. This is the very first time, literally right now, this is like historic for us. It's the first time we've ever counted tokens for everybody working on the platform at the same time. And it is a little scary for me because we can't actually run the reports on what we're collecting until after we're all done. So I have no idea what my bill is going to be, but hoping it doesn't break the bank. So anyway, back to your question. We want to provide the best value possible. That's why we are considering offering this where you can bring your own, API keys and you could just pay the bill yourself. But the executives that we work with and the people that just want it to work, we have a lot of indications that people are like, you know what, just charge me whatever and just let me have all access to everything. And that's another option that we're looking at providing to people. But we'd love to hear from you guys also. Like, I mean, what would you pay for something like this? I mean,
Yeah, it's a great question. I love pricing questions.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think it depends on the value. This is what it comes down to, like the problem we solve with this platform, right? Like, because if we can solve, especially for an executive team, if we can help them solve problems that are billion-dollar problems for them, right? This becomes, a 6-figure product. But then if you're, so that's how I see it, is like, what is the value of the problem I can resolve for a company? And if the value is like, I can grow your revenue, generate more income, reduce your costs, it becomes a function of that. And then really it becomes, so who was it? Gabrielle was talking about, he had a question too, I'll bring up in a second, but he was talking about like, oh, I could see how useful this would be to be like a board of advisors. And you and I both talked about this, like creating a board of advisors that an executive can talk to, but only to the extent that those advisors actually provide, like, if, functional, information that renders a result. But I think it can be hugely valuable, right? Like, especially as a product. I mean, there's so many interesting things that you can build, but what I like about it is that this can be customized per industry, per functional role within a company. Like if you're a vendor, if you're a service provider, if you are a platform, like there's so many ways to create agents that specifically handle problems. And we've got a couple people, actually we don't have a couple people on here today that are big domain experts, but if we have like somebody with 25 years of experience in a domain, like them being able to leverage this tool amplifies the value that they can deliver for a customer, like exponentially. So I don't know. I feel like there's definitely a tiered approach as you start testing this out between, how do you make this available just because it's awesome, like in a BYO model, like bring your own model scenario where it's super cheap for you to support people who want to just use it because it's cool. And then the value generation side, which is like the executive side, I think that's a bigger price tag, of course, because the value you can give them is so large. I mean, so huge. Oh, yes. And so Gabrielle also asked about content. So how do you, if you're in a room having a conversation, can you upload documents for them to process or use as part of the conversation?
Yeah, you can. This is a feature here in the workspace. You can see here the workspace, and then to the right there's an open assets.
Oh, assets. You said that. Okay.
Yes. So here's an example of one that has a bunch of assets in it. These are basically a bunch of images that were created in this room. However, if you want to upload a file, you can, but fair warning, the only file that it's capable of ingesting right now is a TXT file. So this is also just this is a proof of concept that our platform does what we want it to do, but we haven't gone back to this feature. Very soon, we're going to improve this feature so that any document that you put in here, whether it's a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet or things like that, and in fact, we want to give you the ability to just point to a directory somewhere, whether it's a local directory or a Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that, and then be able to consume it. Turns out this is a very complex task. And even Google doesn't do a great job of it right now. So it's something we're working on, and it will evolve as we get going. But it's something we recognize people want, is the ability to work with their own documents or their own knowledge bases. And by the time this comes out in production, hopefully in December, but certainly in the first quarter of next year, it'll be capable of doing that.
This is like an issue about vectorization to find a vector database, I think, or that's just the issue about to insert the original PDF or a photo. Is this the issue now? The situation? Because it's interesting to use HR agent with her own specialization and put inside all the documents to answer the question, for example, PDF, text message, audio message, like this. I don't know. Is it possible in the
basically,
future?
so that's a great question. I don't want to get too technical, or maybe I can. Everybody's here to learn about AI, but there's a process for taking some document and making it usable by agents. And so that means you really need to process every document into another form. There's no such thing as just giving it a PDF document and it can understand it. You have to take the PDF document. It has to be decomposed into text and or use a vision model that maybe identifies things like charts and graphs and images in the PDF. But for any of the text, you need to OCR it, or you need to take it out of the PDF file directly. Then you have to go through the process of chunking all that data so that it can be stored in, say, a vector database, or take all of the text and put it into, a database so that it can have a BM25 search done on all of the data. And then there has to be a way for that information to be delivered back into the workspace based on what's being asked of it. So there's a lot of steps in that chain. Again, we are doing it already, but we got some really incredible ideas for what we can do to make it super smooth. And I would say Q1 of next year is the likely release date for that feature.
Well, thank you so much, Franz.
Yes, amazing. And Jessica was asking, and I presume yes, but if it's okay for her to mention this to her AI think tank group, and I would imagine anyone, you would want as many people to go over and sign up for early access, and you'll just be making
please, guys. That's if you want to thank me, that's how you can do it, is just spread the word. This is literally the first time that we've told the public about this. Except for that one little podcast that I did that I think on YouTube, I think 400 people have seen it. Yeah. So this is, and you're literally the only people that have ever touched this outside of my team.
Yeah, but you all can imagine. I mean, this is one of those things, like I have been involved in things where I see it, like in the long time ago, I would watch it. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a thing. I should get involved. And then I'd watch it pass me. And then later I'd be like, oh, darn, I should have got on that train. And then Alexa was the first time where I was like, no, this is a thing. I'm doing it. And I did whatever I could to be a part of it. And then the same thing happened at Microsoft AI and then at ChatGPT. So I feel like this is a similar thing where you're going to be very thankful, I think, a year from now when you're like, oh my gosh, I remember when we learned about this. Because I think it's going to be such a huge, I mean, we're seeing everyone talking about agentic right now as a framework. We're going to be teaching how to build agents in AI Studio through in our AI Leadership Institute. So we have a workshop on December 18th that's going to teach you how to build AI agents through Azure AI. But none of them solve this problem, which is what happens once you have an agent or 100? Like, how do you orchestrate them? How do you get an at the glass level of integration? How do you standardize security, best practices, responsibility, like all these things? Someone, and that's why Monique was saying this is why companies over the last 2 decades have had to build developer platforms to standardize this stuff. And this is literally the future of standardization, I think, of kind of ML ops deployment type work that we're going to see. And at the end of the day, what makes it so powerful is that you're just using your language, your voice to build everything. Like you're building the builders with your voice.
And literally your voice. I mean,
yes,
so
I love it.
Since I have you guys here, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Actually, if you when you're in this welcome screen, you can see our backlog here. These are all the things that we're getting ready to build. And we have a whole bunch more even than are on this backlog. But we have a vision for one of the things that's going to come next is you're going to get a canvas view, not just a chat room view. And in the canvas view, you'll be able to do things like, with Claude, you can create these cool artifacts. Or in Cursor AI, you can build a little something and kind of see it running. You'll be able to do the same exact thing here, but on steroids. And one of the things that allows us to do this magic is, again, we built the platform that it's built on, as opposed to using some of the early frameworks like LangChain or LangGraph, that's out there now, or Microsoft has their agent framework. Help me here, Noel. AutoGen.
Yeah.
The AutoGen framework with their FSMs and things like that. And we have very soon a whole new architecture for our brains is coming, where currently we're using Mealy and Moore finite state machines to run our agent brains. We're going to add another architecture called behavior trees. And this is super powerful. This is exactly what General Dynamics is using, or not General Dynamics. Who made the robots, Spot and all that?
Oh, Boston
Dynamics.
Yeah.
Dynamics. So this is all the rage in robots is behavior trees. And we're going to add behavior trees here very soon in fact, I was talking with my co-founder today about changing the prompter brain to start using a behavior tree. And it's pretty exciting, the stuff that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. All right. Well, I hope you all have found this to be a good, fun use of your Black Friday and that you have felt it to be valuable. I am going to throw in a link. If you don't mind, I'd like to also give Eric a gift of some positive testimonials about your experience. You don't have to fill it out right now. If you couldn't walk through the whole thing, you have until the end of day tomorrow to kind of walk through the lab, if you will. And so I'm going to throw that link into the chat too. So if you want to just, again, not necessarily like, I love Eric, he's amazing, but more like, this is a cool, like something meaningful about your experience with the product, what you think about agentic AI, seeing this platform. I think that would be a really great way to also thank you for spending the time and giving us a sneak peek into something that's like really cool. I mean, literally.
And by the way, if I can add, my wife Domini is also here today, and Domini is a design thinking person. And I told her that I would announce to the room anybody that would like to participate in a design thinking session. We're looking for volunteers that would love. We'll give you additional access to use the system, and basically that just means you're going to spend some time with her, and promise she's lovely to work with, and just to get feedback, because we're really hungry for feedback on this system. I feel like I've spent 90% of the time talking, and we really want to spend 90% of the time listening to what you guys want, what would work best, You know, do you like the buttons there? Do you want this to do that? Are you confused about things? All those things. So I think she might have already posted it, but I'll put it in the room. It's Domini@bloomstack.com. And if you are at all interested in playing with this more, then send her an email and she'll start scheduling you guys. We'll give you more access to it, and you can just help us out by giving us your opinions and your thoughts and ideas.
Awesome. That is fantastic. You already see, Dominique. Hopefully you could see you've got some takers in here already, but also happy to include this in the email that goes out to let people know that they can reach out to you. You also put in your LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with Dominique as well. So thank you for that. That's amazing. I saw another question in here. I just want to make sure we answer them all. Alonzo asked, I know it's 6, so we're going to take like 3 minutes and answer these quick questions. Hopefully there'll be quick answers. What are your current computer vision OCR capabilities right now, if any, or is it all backlogged right now?
Currently the vision stuff is backlogged. The framework is already prepared to do it, and we've already tested it. But we don't have it deployed as a feature yet. So it's a coming soon, very soon kind of thing. And we want to give it devices too. So you can just turn on your laptop camera or turn on your iPhone camera while you're in a workspace and use it that way. Another huge feature that'll be coming in Q1 next year is deploying bots, where you'll literally be able to have what we call a bridge bot or a bridge agent from within an AI Mystic workspace. So imagine having a workspace with 3 or 4 other agents in it, but one of those agents is a Discord bot. And in some Discord channel somewhere, you're trying to do something sophisticated, and it has the power, that bot has the power of an entire workspace. So it can go to all the agents and the human users that can help it, respond to whatever it's being asked of it in Discord or on WhatsApp or in basically any channel, Slack, all those kinds of things. So that's coming real soon as well.
Okay, awesome. And then another question was around integration into, like, instead of integrating things into it, can this be like white labeled and placed on someone's website, or like, is there are you thinking about how this might be used or embedded in another person's, how that might work?
Yeah, kind of the same answer.
Okay.
Once we have a bot that can work outside of AI Mystic, but it's powered by AI Mystic, then you could put it anywhere. So it could turn into a customer service chatbot.
Exactly.
For example, on your website is a very common use case. We want to be able to remember, this is a Swiss Army knife of tools, and we want you to deploy AI any way that you want to deploy AI. And the ultimate level is, as you see, it can create agents, it can create tasks, it can do these things. Very soon, it'll create workspaces, and then pretty soon, it'll create anything you can imagine. You just talk to it. It'll do all the configurations and figure out what it needs to do integration-wise, APIs to other systems and all that. And this system will be able to deploy it for you. On the white label question, we're actually interested right now in talking to prospective design partners. So if anybody has a real use case, high-level use case that they think our tools might work great for, reach out to me and we'll talk about it.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I turned it on. That's amazing. Great work. Jessica, did you actually have a question, or is that from before?
Just real quick, Eric, can you drop your email as well? Because all the things you've just been touching on, I think it's inspired some ideas, and I'd love to help get your name out there. So if you...
He literally did like a minute ago, like right
I didn't
before.
get an email. I see Damani's, but I don't see his.
Oh yeah, it
Dominic.
just went in like a minute ago.
Okay, I put it again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And by the
you.
way,
You know
if you guys
why?
want to make
You
if
put
you
it
guys
just-
want to make any comments, one thing that would help me immensely is tag me on X with @Bloomstack.
Ooh, I love that. And Blue Sky.
Yeah. Yeah, and feel free if you want to do little screen captures or whatever in your post, you want to put it up, because you know, whatever. And
Oh my gosh, let the fun begin.
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Amazing. Okay, awesome. Yes, and of course, connect with so now's your chance. If you are not connected with people on this call, you can definitely throw your LinkedIn and get connected as well, but certainly with Eric and Domini, is that right?
It's Domini, right?
Domini. Okay, great. So nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. It is after 6. It is Black Friday. I do want to give you some time to shop and enjoy your lives. But this, I hope you found it fun. Use your your little invitation. You have access to this platform. Create your own workspace. I will actually be using this workspace to draft out a participant guide to guide you through doing what we talked about here. So you'll see me do it live. And then I will send that out to you all and also copy and paste that text into the post in the I Love AI community. I know people are going to they're going to be like, wait, what? I didn't know. So we might have to do this one more time.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Now that we've done
down.
it, people would be like, wait. I didn't know it was going to be like that. So it's really, really cool. I would love to do it again. Yeah, so give some love to Eric and team in the chat. Let them know that this was beneficial to you all. Thank you all for being here. It was amazing. And we will see you next time. Have a great holiday weekend. And yeah, don't buy too much stuff.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Eric. It was so fun. Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you later.